Hi children, are you fine? Are you completing your works? Okay, today we are going to study our 11th lesson University Days written by James Grover Thurban. He is an American cartoonist, author, humorist, and playwright. He is best known for his cartoons and short stories published mainly in the New York Magazine, such as The Catbird Seat, and collected in his numerous books. He is one of the most popular humorists of his time as he celebrated the comic frustrations and eccentricities of ordinary people. Thurber means who acts, speaks, or writes in an amusing way. In University Days by James Thurber, we have the theme of hardship, control, frustration, and struggle. Taken from his My Life and Hard Times collection, the story is narrated in the first person by Thurber himself, and from the beginning of the story, the reader realizes that Thurber may be exploring the theme of hardship. Numerous people trust that college is about being serious all of the time. In the in the essay University Days, Thurber talks about certain situations happened to him at the Ohio State University to demonstrate that it can be humorous as well as serious. Throughout it, he targets his peers, professors, and himself when discussing what is humorous about his college experience. In University Days, James presents several humorous anecdote. Anecdote here, a short account of a real incident or person, often humorous, that illustrate how absurd and disappointing college can be. In his botany class, his inability to utilize the microscope perplexes and eventually enrages his professor. In his economic class, a star tackle on the football team cannot answer even the simplest question. At the point when he takes gymnasium, he hates to swim, so he had another understudy swim in his place. Children, now we will come to our lesson. See the first paragraph. The author was an university student, and here he is in front of a microscope. He passed all the subjects except botany. What is the problem with this botany, children? He says the reason also. These botany students had to spend several hours in a week in a laboratory to study about plants. But our author was not able to see anything through microscope. He didn't see any plant cell through it. This enraged his professor. Enrage here means to cause someone to become very angry. So the professor got very angry. Professor was angry because all other students were drawing cells, beautiful pictures. They were learning, but our author was standing simply. He complained his teacher that he couldn't see anything. Actually, he had bad eyesight. Professor was not knowing that. He thought that all others were able to see and writing, and he imagined the author was pretending that he could not see. He told his professor that if we are only studying the cells, that would take away the beauty of the flowers. Here you could see the laboratory. See how is the students and professor. For this, the professor told him that they were there to study, not to admire the beauty of flowers. Then he continued to try and get the bird to see through microscope. The other tried his best. He could only see a nebulous milky substance. Here, nebulous means not very clear. Children, you know that through microscope we could see a vivid image of a cell. Vivid here, very clear and detailed images. Correct, no? Again, the professor thought that he didn't adjust his microscope properly. Then he himself, that means the professor himself, adjusted it for the author. Again, the author saw only milk. 1 year completed. Next year also he was in the same class. With new spirit, again came the professor in their class. By seeing this author, he told him that he would see cell this year. The author hoped for that, but that year also he couldn't see the cell. Then the professor tried his level best to show him the cell through microscope. Last, our author saw something and he was enthusiastically drawing that in his paper. By seeing that, the professor also was very happy. He came near to him. When he looked at his paper, he was disappointed. What happened, children? Do you know? After seeing his paper, he looked through his microscope. He understood the author drew the picture of his own eye. Through lens, he saw his own eye and he had drawn his own eye. There are other classes like economics that were struggles in. Though he was not as bad as Bolenciac was, one student's name only, who apart from his abilities on the football field was not a good student. He was a very good football player. In economics, the narrator's instructor seems to spend much of his time trying to elicit some sort of intelligible response from the star of the football team, who needs to pass the course to be eligible for one of the most important games of the season. One day, the economic professor Basum, that is his name, Basum, was taking the subject of transportation and distribution. He asked one question to this football player. What was the question, children? Name one means of transportation. That was the question. He was not able to say that very simple question's answer. He was helplessly looking at the professor. Here you could see that all the children eagerly there looking at him, professor also trying, but that boy, he was not able to say the answer. The professor gave many clues, like any medium or method to go one place to another, any vehicle or for long journey, how we will go, etc., etc. Like that, many questions he asked. There was total silence in the class. Then the professor made the sound of an engine. Some of the students also imitate the train sound. All the students also had the desire to see him pass in this subject. That is why they were trying. All tried their level best, but Valenciac could not get the answer. Last, the professor asked him, how did he came to the college? He told the professor that he came by train. The professor was so happy and told him that he said the correct answer. Next thing he hated in the college was gymnasium. It was worse than botany and economics because he was supposed to remove his glasses before taking gymnasium lessons. And he could not see properly without his glasses. He knocked into professor's students, bars, iron rings, etc. Because he was not seeing, no? He was going here and there. Also, it was mandatory, that means compulsory to learn swimming in order to pass gymnasium, and he had an aversion to swimming. He don't like swimming also. He hates swimming professors, and he didn't swim at all. Children, do you know what he did? he told his friend to wear his number and to swim in the pool instead of him. In that, he passed the exam. So, students, we could find out that the author makes an amazing showing, keeping the reader's interest throughout the whole story. He clarifies his college experiences in a way that makes the reader both interested and amused in the meantime. Throughout the story, the reader is only given Turbo's account of what happens. In this story, he manages to turn the frustration into something humorous. Hello, children. Our lesson is over. Read this lesson many times and complete the notes. Okay. Thank you, children.